So ASU played a game tonight. Pretty sure it was a basketball game. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Sun Devils, your daily Arizona State Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Philip Mulford. Parker Perrell is right there, theoretically right next to me. It's only 500 miles away or so. Thank you so much for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen today, every day. Parker and I are both huge ASU fans, and we've got a lot of talk about tonight. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Parker, there were times you and I were talking over the course of this game today. Of course, ASU lost 72 against Baylor, 78 a little bit earlier on this evening. You and I were talking. There was a lot to like the first half. We made a run deep, but man, what a demoralizing loss.
Yeah, we were talking about it the day before as well, how much this game would mean for momentum for this ASU team, because you mentioned demoralizing. That Baylor game was ripped away from ASU. And I'm not saying ripped away by the refs. They ripped it away from themselves. They took away that win. And so imagine this team going into Fort Worth and taking down TCU. And at halftime, and we've said this multiple times this year, Phil, ASU felt like they were a team that could go in and win that game at halftime. And all of a sudden, about halfway through the second half, the wheels started to roll off. And once again, we're talking about an ASU team that can't play a full 40 minutes.
How is it? So at the half, you talk about ASU. I think we were down 3 at the half. ASU goes, it's looking fairly close. We're doing fine. I think 3 total 3-pointers had been sunk by either team combined in the first half. It was a very low scoring first half. Shots weren't landing. And then all of a sudden, TCU finishes the game. What was it? 8 for 23. Very respectable from the 3-point arc. They hit 4 or 5 in a row right out of the break. And in the same time, ASU starts chucking them up. The pressure's there. TCU is making a run. And it's just brick. Nothing's going in. Parker, you and I were talking yesterday about if something's not working, and it clearly wasn't, just go to the rim. Like, why do we keep forcing these bad shots?
I think it's almost a panic move, Phil. I think it's almost like this team is so nervous playing from behind, because this is a team that has some shooters, but they just seem rattled. They just seem rattled at times. But this is a team that can be very efficient beyond the arc. We saw it against Texas Tech. We've seen it throughout the season. But in this latter half of conference play, they've struggled. They were 5 for 20 today. That's 25% from deep. And you add to that the fact that they were committing the foul game way too early. Diop got fouled out. And if Diop fouls out, you have a bigger problem. For those that don't follow ASU basketball, Diop does not foul that often. And he fouled out with about a minute and a half left. So by that moment, I knew ASU was waving the white flag when they were willing to lose Diop.
In fairness, they just had to foul. They had made a deep run. We were down by 19 at one point, and then we're making this deep run. TCU is doing the crazy let's throw the ball away thing, and you're starting to believe. So at that point, I don't believe someone's got to make the foul happen. It's unfortunate that it was Diop, but he was close. You're running out of time. Going back to the fouls, though, this was a crazy game. Bobby Hurley gets tripped by a TCU manager. There's a fracas at the bench, but more importantly than that, TCU attempted 43 free throws in this game, Parker. Yeah, they only made 28 of them. They made less than 75%, which is an awful metric if you're looking at a team. So we're just very lucky that they didn't hit what they would do on any other given day. But 40 free throws, and only like maybe 6 of those were in the garbage time we're trying to foul to come back into this game. It was This is more free throw. This is more free throws I've seen ASU give than like it's hard to remember a game, honestly.
Like I said, this team just seemed rattled, and we've seen it game in and game out. When this team is rattled, they struggle beyond the arc, and they get a little too physical. And when teams get a little too physical, it results in sending them to the line, and that's what we saw in this TCU game. And to talk more about TCU, we talked about this yesterday when previewing this game. This TCU team we knew was a team based on runs. We've seen that in their schedule this year. We talked about their loss to New Orleans, their 4-point loss to Michigan. But when they beat the teams like Florida and Wisconsin, the teams that they've beaten this year, it's because they are so efficient. They go on these runs and they make teams foul them. And when they're not efficient, like in that over 20-point loss to Colorado, it's because they're playing other teams' game. And when ASU started to work their way back in this game around the 4-minute mark, when we started texting each other all excitedly, Phil, it, it's because ASU was finally playing their game that they hadn't played in the entire second half.
In fairness, TCU was starting to make some really crazy moves. We saw passes from one end of the baseline to the other. We saw some, let's call the spade a spade here, Parker. Some very lazy play out of TCU. In fairness, you're 19 up, 2 minutes left. The run's starting to come back a little bit, but yeah, it's hard to call it a true comeback. Yes, we got close, but you're still down 9, 2 minutes left, and the game still has to go wildly in your favor for anything to happen.
Very true. And at the end of the day, ASU now falls to 5-10 in Big 12 play. And if you would have told me that about midway through conference play, and I know how ASU has looked, I would have been shocked. Because with the talent on this ASU roster, there is no reason they shouldn't be middle of the pack. I know how tough the Big 12 is, but this is a team that has fought. Even in this game when they were down by so many points, they once were losing by 19 points. This is a team that fights all the way back. There was a point where this was a 4-point game in the last 4 minutes of the game. And this is a team you can't count out, and it's such a shame that they only have 5 conference wins at this point in the season.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. Talk about, not having a lot of conference wins. ASU has been in a lot of very close games that we've lost. But I was watching the game tonight, and I forget who it was, but someone brought up the point. Bobby Hurley is number 3 in active coaches in terms of total come from behind victories. Number 1 is Kansas, right? I forget who number 2 was, but he's number 3. And now we are 6-8, I think it is, in games decided by less than 10 points this season. We see the hustle. Why is it that this season we can't convert those even potential comebacks into the real thing?
Well, I know this is a football guy, and we're talking about basketball, so bear with me for a second. But the great Lou Holtz once said, "You have no idea what losing does to a locker room. Losing does so many things. All of a sudden, one guy who's been great at making the 3-point basket is colder than ice, and sometimes a great coach who has led his troops from come behind victories all throughout his career struggles." Because losing will do that. And losing in demoralizing fashion can do that to a locker room. Because let's face it, teams that come from behind time in and time again, they have to have a psychological edge. They have to. To win those close games, especially in the Big 12, you have to have a psychological edge. And when you keep on losing these heartbreakers after heartbreakers, it's demoralizing. It is demoralizing to a locker room. So it's no wonder that they seem a little downtrodden in these closer games.
All right, so what does it take to get Cam Scadaboo in the locker room? Obviously, he's not going to play. He doesn't have eligibility. He's got a boot on his leg. He's got to play NFL. But get Kenny in there, get Scadaboo, these guys that they know what it's like to play close games. They know what it's like to come from behind and win close games. The flight back home, have them call in. Get the motivational speaker tour going. Because
Yeah.
I'm joking here, but unironically, ASU has some resources of some people who are very good at making this happen.
They do. And I trust Bobby. I know how this season has gone. I know the rumor mill's going around. But whether you like it or not, Bobby is a leader of men. He will whip his troops into shape. I know we mentioned earlier in the season that he's having trouble reaching these guys, but there's nobody closer to these guys than Bobby Hurley right now. And something tells me that in these coming days, with Kansas on the near schedule, he's going to have to work some of his magic that we've seen before. We'll see if we see it again.
Well, Parker, the good news is that Kansas is a great team. That's not the great news, but they're probably not going to have their star player for more than 5 minutes, something like that, of the game. So, there is a little bit of hope. But you know what? Look, this game, not what we're looking for. Maybe we'll see in the last couple of games of the season if we'll be able to make some sort of at least moral victory going into the Big 12 tournament. Of course, this is bad news, but there is some great news coming out of ASU sports as well. The baseball team is on a tear. We'll talk about that in just a second.
Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. We're over halfway through the NBA season, which means we're starting to figure out which teams can make a run. If you think you've got it figured out, this is the perfect time to lock that pick in. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Plan your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This episode is also brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing there's an expert handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take your taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Get Locked On Sun Devils ad-free with the Everydayer Club, plus members-only Discord access. Join at lockedonsundevils.supercast.com to never miss an episode.
And we were talking about bad news, not the best time with this basketball team. Luckily, there are other sports. ASU baseball has started their season a couple days ago, and now they play an SEC team, a ranked team, and Parker, they beat the socks off Oklahoma. I mean, this game was not close.
Yeah, not only not close from the jump of the gun, an 8th spot in the top of the second inning. This is an ASU team where there were a lot of question marks because they've played Omaha, they've played St. John's, they've played UConn. There are a lot of question marks like, what is this team going to look like when they play an SEC team that's ranked in the top 15? And I know it's just a one-game sample size, so I'm trying to contain myself because I'm somebody who I've been following this ASU baseball team religiously these past couple of seasons. But wow. I mean, wow, this team, their firepower, it's ridiculous, Phil. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and that is, man, it's so nice to see this because ASU baseball, if you're not a longtime ASU guy, I understand, but ASU has more players, historically has put more players into Major League Baseball than like any other team in the country, any other school in the country. We have so many, we have up there in terms of total College World Series victories. ASU, before it was a football school, ASU has always been a baseball school. And that has not been true. I started going there in 2015. I heard all these things about ASU baseball. We weren't great. Going further, we're not great. But now, all of a sudden, I mean, we were solid last year. We didn't have a great run to Omaha, but our regular season was fantastic. Pitching was very much a strength. And now, I mean, 16-6 versus St. John's on the 22nd, 15-3 in a 7-inning just shellacking. Seems like we have the offense and the pitching to just roll over people.
Yeah, and I hate to shout out just 3 guys on their offense because let's face it, every one of these guys have been ridiculous this season. But Nu'u Contrades,
Yeah.
remember that name. When it comes draft season, he is going to shoot up draft boards so quick with just how ridiculous he's been. Landon Hairston as well, another returner who has been amazing, and Dominic Longo II. Those 3. Keep your eye on them. And Nu'u Contrades, by the way, slugging 931. He has an OPS of 1.460. I mean, I know it's an 8-game sample size, Phil, but that's ridiculous. Somebody that is like Nu'u Contrades should not be playing the way that he is because he's just that ridiculous. He is just that ridiculous.
And I think it's really important to point out here, for those of you that are not baseball heads, that's fine. We'll be getting to basketball and football in just a second. But traditionally, when we talk about positions, right, your outfielders, they're your power positions for a decent portion. They're bigger guys. They got longer legs. They got more biomechanics. They just got more torque to their swing. Second basemen generally are not drafted. They're not picked at the highest level for their bats. Right, you get them because they're quick. They got great glove skills. They got really good situational awareness, kind of like a shortstop, except often with a little bit less power. So to see Nu'u Contrades here, he was a really nice batting average. What would you say he was slugging 931?
Yeah, 931.
Was that OBPS?
OPS is 1.
Okay, OPS, yeah.
460,
So that is massive to have a second baseman with that amount of power, that ability to get on base. It opens up so much because you're not you're not kind of throwing away a position just with a defensive infielder now. And you talk about why this is valuable. Going to the draft season, there are not a lot of prospects like that available to professional teams.
And Phil, I want you to do this. And for those at home and for those listening, not on the video format, I'm going to describe it for you. So I'm going to look a little silly on camera. So when you're watching a video, cover up the bottom half of your screen where you see the guy batting. Whenever Nu'u Contrades is at plate, look at his highlights and just watch where that ball goes. And now uncover the player with your hand. He's 5'10", 180. He has that much pop behind his swing.
That is your second baseman build. That's not surprising. But
yeah, he's 5'10", 180, and he hits it like he's a left fielder. I mean, he is just unreal. He is unreal.
Yeah, that is we're going to keep paying attention to this, of course, as the season goes on, because the world when ASU is having a great season, the world when ASU baseball is good is a great world to live in. I mean, again, it saves us from some of the sadness of having to talk about yet another late game collapse in ASU basketball. But again, also that's very exciting. Of course, yes, 15-3 here, looking really good. They do play, if you're watching this when it goes live, they do also play Oklahoma when did they play? They play later that day. They play at 4 p.m. They play Oklahoma at 4 p.m. Central Time. Day it goes live. But also, Parker, they got a big set of games this weekend coming up. And actually, we're going to talk about that one a little bit more in just a second.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. South Carolina rolled past Ole Miss 85-48 to clinch a share of the SEC regular season title and lock down the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. The Gamecocks extended their win streak over Ole Miss to 21 straight. UCLA dominated Wisconsin 80-60 to secure its first outright Big Ten regular season championship in program history. The Bruins improved to 27-1 overall and remain unbeaten in conference play. And number 12 TCU stormed back from a 13-point fourth quarter deficit to beat Iowa State 80-73. The Horned Frogs now sit alone atop the Big 12 standings and are one win away from clinching another regular season conference crown. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
We're also brought to you by Indeed.com because workplace chaos, that's a problem. Deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, the location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data, and that's worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing these candidates. Spending less time, less stress, getting more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners to this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about us. You heard about Indeed on this podcast right here, Locked On Sun Devils. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? That's a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. So Parker, ASU baseball looked really good. We just talked about it, 15-3 versus Oklahoma. They're going to play today if you're watching this when it goes out. But also, there's a great big baseball tournament out in Fort Worth coming up this weekend. Arlington.
Yeah, classic at Globe Life. No other venue like it. I get to go this weekend, so I'm excited. I'll be sure to report back like a good little journalist and tell you what it's like. I'll be in your neck of the woods, actually. I make sure to have some barbecue, do all the Texas stuff, boot, scoot, and boogie, all that fun stuff as I watch the Devils in a big tournament taking on some SEC powerhouses. I hope you're ready for some SEC baseball, Phil, because you have the 2-game midweek against Oklahoma, a 7-inning run rule, as we talked about earlier, but a game today, as this video releases, against Oklahoma. But then in the Classic, number 4 Mississippi State, number 20 Tennessee, and number 23 Texas A&M, as this video records. And this is kind of a Weather Wednesday segment where we're going to talk about a forecast. So we're going to mention some more sports later. But when it comes to the forecast for this ASU baseball team, you talk about some really scary clouds in the distance, but at the same time, with how that game against Oklahoma went, with how dominant they looked, I mean, this is an ASU team where coming into this week, if they went 1 for 5, I would have been happy. They already won that one. I think they could go 3 for 5 in this stretch. And if you go 3 for 5 against all these top 25 ranked teams, you're looking at ASU being in such a good spot heading into the heart of their season.
I'm hearing a broom. I'm hearing a swing. I might be asking for a little bit too much, but look, if this is all that the SEC has going for us, all right, a measly 3 runs, getting 7-run ruled. Tennessee, A&M, Mississippi State, who cares? They got rankings. ASU's back, baby. Straight to Omaha. Let's go.
I love that attitude. I wish I had that optimism, but I'm not saying that ASU is going to roll over when they lose. We're going to see some great baseball, Phil. I don't know what these games are going to be streamed on, but get the free trial.
Yeah, it's all on
free
Flow
trial.
College.
Get
Whatever
the free
that is,
trial if they offer it, because ASU baseball taking on number 4 Mississippi State to open up the Classic. It's going to be cinema. And regardless of the result, that's where we're going to find out what ASU is like against top-tier competition, especially. And I know Tennessee is a good team as well, but Tennessee has had some managerial changes, some
Mm-hmm.
changes with their coaching staff. A Texas A&M team that has loaded recruiting class after loaded recruiting class. That's going to be the best talent team ASU has played so far. So the way ASU matches up against Texas A&M in that Sunday game, when both teams are using their depth, especially after an ASU week where they played 2 midweek games against a top 15 team, it's going to be really telling how this season's going to go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Parker, ASU baseball is not the only thing that's happening this weekend. What else we
Nah.
got?
Doing my little weatherman segment. If you look to the right, I'm not going to
One
do
of these
that.
days, we'll get a green screen behind you. Like, we'll get the full-on cloud. No, it's not going to be clouds. It can be like little pitchforks scudding across the background.
My dream job growing up was to be the girl on Wheel of Fortune and just tap the letter and then it'll change over. But I'll live that dream someday else. But either way, ASU men's basketball. I hope everybody listening isn't too tired of us talking about ASU men's basketball, because they have an upcoming 2-game stretch, and it's kind of two sides of a coin, because you have Utah at home and then Kansas at home. Two teams that have had 2 very different seasons. Utah, ASU is given a 68.5%. That half is very important. I don't know why they did it, but a 68%, a 68.5% chance that ASU wins. And then against Kansas, ASU is only given a 20.3% chance according to ESPN. So those odds are about as split different as you can get. But the good news is for ASU, they're both at home, and they're coming off 2 very disappointing road games. So a chip on their shoulder, senior night versus Kansas. Do you feel a little magic, Phil? Do you feel a little magic?
I mean, ASU's been streaky. Yes, we've lost 3 games in a row. Actually, we've lost 4 games in a row. I was going to say, okay, well, but we do tend to win a couple, then lose a couple. So if we beat Utah, maybe the clouds part. I say we got here cloudy with a chance of runs. Maybe the sun comes out on the 3rd on that Tuesday, and it's meatballs. Or I'm really mixing my metaphors up here, but I believe the clouds will part. I believe that the weather is the weather forecast is not that sad. I choose to believe.
And I love the way that you believe. I love it. And
I'm just always disappointed. It's great.
I have another quick question for you.
Yeah.
There's a joke going around with a couple buddies of mine that ASU, the stretches even into the offseason this year, or the preseason, I should say, the ASU men's basketball always gets one good home win that we are surprised about in the preseason. That was Texas Tech. Are we getting a little greedy asking for 2 against Kansas, and do you think that's possible?
Well, in Bobby Hurley's tenure, he took down I think it was number 1 at the time. He took down Kansas at home, right? And part of that incredible, I think it was 19-0 when we were peaked at number 3 in the country. Next year, Kansas comes to us, we take them down. We do have Bobby Hurley does have a history of upsetting Kansas. Now that was a while ago. That was when I was a student, so a little bit further in the past. But that's all I'm saying. We do have a history. Kansas has fallen at ASU's feet a couple times. That's something.
Yeah, it is something. It's going to be a great weekend for hoops, but keeping it on the hardwood, but going to the different team. How about Molly Miller's squad? This is our first time talking about them on the program. They have the last 2 games of their season, and they are tough games, because this is the team, unlike the men's team, that is currently on the bubble. They are currently fighting for the last 4 in to the women's tournament. And they got to take on BYU, a team that ASU lost to earlier this season, and they got to go on the road to number 20 Texas Tech. ASU is given a 66.2% chance against BYU and only a 15.4% chance at Texas Tech. And then, of course, there's tournament play. But the forecast for this ASU women's basketball team, it's a little bleaker than I expected, but it, let's face it, Phil. This is an ASU women's basketball team that since the days of Charlie Turner Thorne, it's been dead. It's been tepid. But now there's so much hope. There's so much faith. There's so much energy. Don't you just feel a little bit of specialness right now?
It's incredible what she's been able to do in her first year here. Like, look, she had a great run at GCU. No taking that away from her, but Arizona State women's basketball was one of the last teams to drop a game in the nation. Like, they had such an incredible run, and yeah, you hit some Big 12 play, you run into some ranked teams, you lose some close games. I'm satisfied with this season. Like, yes, I want us to make the tournament. Yes, I want us to make a deep run. Yes, I want us to win these last couple games. But even with that, this is an incredible year one. So, like, I got a raincoat on. Going back to our weather report, it doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's cloudy, if it's a thunderstorm, if there's a tornado. I got a raincoat on. I got a storm shelter down below me. I'm happy. I'm watching the highlights from the first, 13, 15 games. I'm good. Yes, we can do more, but this season's already a success as far as I'm concerned.
I absolutely agree. Such a great building block. It reminds me of Dilly's first year, or Dilly's second year, I should say. The first year was a little rough,
Well,
as you can
I
imagine.
think Dilly's second year has a little bit higher. Like, yes, ASU women's basketball is having a great time. You got to go to like the Elite Eight to match Kenny's second year.
It's not there yet, but I get the similar feeling is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
The seeds have been planted. We'll see where it sprouts. We'll see where it goes. But getting back to this 2-game stretch to end the regular season, senior night coming up today when this episode releases. If ASU splits between BYU and Texas Tech, in my mind, they're in. They're in the tournament. So a big 2-game stretch to end this season. Just so much upside and really so much attention for ASU women's basketball. I mean, they're the host institution for the women's Final Four as well. There seem to be a lot of eyes on the Valley when it comes to women's basketball. I mean, a women's basketball recruit who who used to be at Tennessee, a great women's basketball program, left and is now committed to ASU. There's just a lot of eyes on ASU women's basketball right now. And this is somebody who's been at the school these past 2-3 years. It's a little shocking to say that with how in the background they've seen. And I'm sure you as an alumni who have experienced so many years where it's just ASU women's basketball has been in the back of the head. And now all of a sudden you can't talk about ASU athletics without being like, how about Molly Miller and her crew? How about them?
Yeah, it's fun. We just gotta get men's basketball figured out somehow, and I'm sure we'll be talking about how that's going to happen in the offseason in the coming weeks, the coming months. Who's going to replace Bobby Hurley? He's not going to get re-signed. Probably. How's that going to go? We'll be talking about that more. But for right now, football's going great. Women's basketball's going great. Baseball seems to be going pretty great. On a whole, pretty happy with the trajectory of ASU athletics right now.
Yep. It's ASU, always something university. And to me, that always stands for always something to watch. So
yeah,
a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, but that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks so much for tuning in today on the Locked On Sun Devils. Tomorrow, we got some big news about Jordan Tyson in the NFL Combine. And we'll talk about what exactly that might mean for his chances in the draft. Plus, we got a secret donor for the practice facility and what to look forward to a little bit more this weekend. So make sure you subscribe, follow Locked On Sun Devils so you get the latest episodes. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Sun Devils ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonsundevils.supercast.com to join the club. We're there. Come hang out with us. Talk about ASU sports. It's a great time. But for those of you on this video, we send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And if you're on audio, make sure you check out your second listen for Locked On College Basketball. We'll see you tomorrow.